Good evening, Dhamma friends. Welcome back to our OPRC class. Uh, let's get started by being respectful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Today we are going to conduct OPRC Day 84, and today's stanza, Dhammapada stanza 61, Dhammapada 61, and its story has a very special meaning and very interesting relevance to all your life. So let's take a look at the stanza, and I'll be asking us to read. Okay. Dhammapada is verse 62. Yeah. Putta matti tanang matti iti balu vihanyati attahi attano natti kuto putta kuto dhana putta matti dhanang matti iti balu vihanyati attahi attano natti kuto putta kuto dhanam. All right, so we'll be asking groups to read. First, we're asking group 1. Anybody from group 1? Please go ahead. Anyone from group 1? If not, we can ask from group 2. Yes. Kim, please go ahead.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Putta mati danang mati. Iti balu vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great. And
Thank
group 3, Billy, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes. Please.
Putta mati danang mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Great. And group 4. Group 4. 9, please. Yes. Can you please unmute? Yeah.
Good evening, Bhante.
Yes, please.
Putta mati danang mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Attahi attano nat. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you,
And
Bhante.
group 5. Yes, Melinda, let's go ahead.
Thank you, Bhante. Putta mati danam mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Attahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danam.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you.
And group 6. Yes, Tisita, please. Tisita, no, Sinfong.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sinfong, I will give you the time. Yeah.
Putta mati danang mati. Hiti balo vihanyati. Attahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And group 7. Yes, Aliana, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yes.
Putta mati danang mati, iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati, kuto putta kuto danam.
Okay, great. And last group, group 8. Yeah, Doris, please.
Thank you, Bhante. Putta mati danam mati, iti balo vihanyati. Ata hi atano nati, kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great. And we'll be asking
Thanks,
from others. We will start with Oi, and then Sinfong, and then Champakla. Yes, Oi, please go ahead. If not, Sinfong. After Sinfong, if you are not here,
Mati
yes.
tanam mati. Iti balu binayati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto puta kuto danam.
Okay, great. And Champakla.
Good evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening, please.
Putta mati danam mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kudo putta kudo danam.
There is something to suggest. It is Kuto. It is
Kuto.
Kuto. T.
Kuto.
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 Kuto putta.
Kuto putta kuto danam.
Kuto. Kuto.
Kuto.
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's
Bhante.
like how come? How come? How come? From where? Yeah, Kuto. From where?
From where?
Yes, May-oi, please.
Putta mati danam mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Ata hi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danam.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Susan, please.
Thank you, Bhante.
Please. Great.
Thank you. Putta mati, dahanam mati, iti balo vihanyati, atahi atano nati, kuto putta, kuto dahanam.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Chupen.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Putta mati danang mati. Iti balu vihanyati. Atahi atanu nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Paripurna, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Putta mati danam mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danam.
Okay, great.
这下子拿到唱。
And Goy.
This the loudest.
Evening, Bhante.
Yes, good evening. Let's go ahead.
Puttan mati danang mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Jenny, please.
Good evening, Bhante.
Good evening.
Putta mati danang mati, iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati, kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And Serene, please.
Sukihotu, Bhante.
Okay, please.
Putta mati dahanang mati. Iti balo vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto danang.
Kuto putta kuto dana.
Kuto putta kuto danang.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
And CH.
Ini
Next.
Bhante. Okay. Putta mati dana mati. Iti balo vihayati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto putta kuto dana.
Okay, great.
Thank
And
you.
finally, Hema. It's correct.
Thank you, Bhante. Putta mati dana mati iti balo vihanyati. Ata hi atano nati kuto pata kuto danam.
Kuto.
Kuto puta kuto danam.
Okay, great.
Thank you, Bhante.
Any others who would like to read? Yes, Sokol, please.
Yeah, thank you, Bhante. Puta mati danam pati. Sorry. Okay. Iti balo vihanati. Atahi atano nati. Kuto puta kuto danam.
Would you like to go again? Read again?
Which one? The whole thing, Okay, again,
Yeah, oh, yes.
Puta mati danam mati. Iti balo vihanati.
Vihanyati.
Vihanyati. Atahi atano nati. Sorry. Kuto puta kuto danam.
Okay, great.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I think now we can move on to the stanza. Once again. Putta matti dhanang matti iti balu vihanyati. Attahi attano natti kuto putta kuto dhana. You can see it's a very straightforward translation. I added the female version just to see that how this relates to all of you. Because normally in the Pali text, the tone is very masculine because the society was male-dominated society. But it does not say that it is not inclusive of our genders by that time. It's binary genders, male and female. So, putta matti dhanang matti. Where is I? How to find out I here? Pali word I. Ahang. Pali ahang means I, right? Ahang. Where is it? There is no ahang here. It has to be taken in implied sense. Most of the Pali stanzas do not give us subject. Only the what you call object and verb. So we have to understand the implied sense of that particular sentence subject. Now here I. We understand atti, atti. Actually, there is a combination here. That's why there is M. So other than that, it is atti. Atti means Pali word atti. Atti.
Atti, there is, Bhante, or there has?
Atti means have, right?
Yes.
Have. Atti. Atti. There are two atti here. Have. Then putta and dana. There are two things that anybody can think about in terms of what one has. So what are they? One is putta. The other one being dana. Putta means putta. Pali has
Children, sons and daughters.
Sons.
Actually, there are specific words for these two groups. Putta and the other one is putti, feminine. So, but here we understand stanza says putta, but we have to take it in both with regard to both genders. So, putta, putti. So, I have putta or I have putti, right? And danang means wealth. So, putta means son initially, but we are going to include putti as well in the form putta. I have children, sons and daughters, and Dhanam means wealth. So when we say Dhanam, it's a very large word in terms of everything. And when you say in English, wealth and money, right? So we are taking these two, especially when you say wealth, it has money as well. In Buddhism prefers using dana rather than money. I could say, I mean, it does not get used to using money. Money is something like, because at that time there were no that many currency exchanges other than things that Indians used to exchange, like steel after long time industrialization. In Vedic India, there were no lot of currencies. I think you must have heard about this Pali word, kahapana. Kahapana means kahapana. Kahapana means gold, right? Gold, gold. So today's story is about somebody who kept gold and then passed away. So kahapana. And after sometimes in India, we find a certain currency name called dinar. Dinar could be something connected to Kuwait dinar. I mean, in today's world, dinar, the currency exchange in the Middle East. But it is still very, unclear whether this is the same, the Arabic dinar and then the Indian use of, because nobody understand the Arabic Middle East traders, they always go to India. And then they are the ones who were using a lot of trade at that time. Anyways, normally when we say dana in Pali, we normally use it as wealth. It could be material wealth, also it could be spiritual wealth. There are many sutras that talk about spiritual wealth as well. Now there is someone who is actually boasting, bragging about these two. Not that someone might say, I have a very good daughter, I have a very good son. It is not that explanation over here. That is a happiness, right? There is no problem to say that I have a very good son. I raised a very good son who is who is a blessing to this whole world. I have a very good daughter. But this is something about someone who is overly, excessively bragging about oneself, that I have children, nobody can beat them. I have lots of money, and then you should know how much money I got. I'll beat you. And this kind of a very, what do you call, superlative kind of thinking is what we understand by Putta Matti Dana Matti. My sons, my children will take care of everything, and no other children can do that job. And then same applies to money. So this kind of a very, what do you call, very conceited, haughty, aggressive, stubborn kind of statement is what we understand here. Otherwise, accepting and then sharing that I have this blessing is not a problem, because you know the amount, the parameters of that saying. If someone is bragging, overly saying that my children, my children, my children, my money, this will lead that person to become a Baal. You can see this is how this particular idea is going to connect to the chapter here. So this kind of a thinking, this kind of not even a thinking and then saying will ultimately become the characteristic of a Bala, unwise person. Why? Vihanyati. Now, normally we understand those people who brag, perhaps they want to show off, they might do it happily. But at the end, what can happen is that this kind of thinking will lead that person to worry, trouble. Vihanyati means troubling or worry. How does it happen? It happens perhaps not in this life, maybe in future life, or maybe in the both life, right? Because there are a lot of moments someone can go through that that person's sons and daughters cannot do anything. Right? So perhaps this might be, but it does not say that they are not important. They are really important. But in the ultimate sense, there may be certain areas that children cannot do anything. Right? There may be. That is what we need to understand here. But it does not say that children cannot do anything. They can do a lot of things. If a parent has a good child, definitely this child will take care of their parents, right? But there may be certain areas in one's life, parents' life, that children cannot do anything that much because you are going through samsaric problems, you know. This is what we need to understand. So while appreciating your children, you also need to understand what might happen to you one day and after. And now the argument here that the Buddha is giving is attahi attano natti. Atta means oneself, right? Attano natti. In reality, we don't belong. We don't even possess of ourself, this conventional self. How do we know that we don't own this conventional self? Tell me an example, living example, first hand. How do we know? Then we should not get sick, right?
Yes, and we should
We
not
shouldn't
get
even get
old.
cold because we don't like to get cold, right?
Correct.
Then our body should not get a cold. And then everything that should happen to our body and mind should happen the way we want. But it does not happen all the time. I'm not saying it does not happen. So if you take care of yourself, it will happen to a certain extent, but not totally maybe, but not overall. So we have to understand the both aspects. So it's like I have put it in the note over there. We don't even own our breath, right? We don't, in reality, even the last moment, think about the last moment. You are dying. At that point, what will happen to your breath? Your last breath will also go back to the air, right? Your Patavi elements, solid elements go back to the Patavi elements. Your fluid elements, Apo elements, go back to the fluid elements. Your temperature will go back to the outside temperatures. You are going to have a full recycling after you pass away, right? So then, I mean, we own this body in a certain context. We have to understand that. That's why we are taking care of it. That's why we are using it to do more good karma and then practice our Dhamma. But we also should have a certain understanding of what will happen to this body and mind at a certain point. So this both contexts needed to be understood. Otherwise, it doesn't say we don't own anything. So bodies of no any importance. We can't say like that, right? It's a wrong idea. It's a wrong understanding as well. Attahi attano natti. Then, if we don't even own ourselves with regard to what we try to own, then what about children and wealth? And how about children and wealth? So they should not be anyways connected to us. Now, what is the purpose of this kind of a stanza? What is the benefit of learning this kind of a stanza? I have sons and daughters, I have wealth. This is the thinking of an unwise person. By thinking this unwise person is struggling a lot in his or her life, the Buddha says, we don't even own ourselves. So how can someone own children and wealth? Think about the surface level benefit of understanding this kind of a stanza. Does it I mean, some people might understand this in a little bit extreme way. This does not say that children are of any importance. They are not of any importance. They are important. Wealth is also of importance. They are very important elements in a successful life. But we need to understand one day we are going to leave these two as well. So we have to balance out this understanding, the both sides. Because normally in society, there are people who are falling into one or the other, right? There are people who are always bragging about these two. And there are people who are always trying to give up everything, right? So these are problematic, what you call, areas in thinking. While understanding the importance of the good people, especially your loved ones, at the same time, what will happen to me one day? I have to leave them anyways. I have to leave even myself, this body. And while understanding the importance of wealth, even to do good karma, even to support yourself, even to lead a good life, you also will need to understand that if I don't own myself, then what about the money? What about the wealth? Right? This understanding is what we need to have on the surface level. Now let's look at further meanings of this stanza. Say some words. Dhanam. Dhanam is an interesting Pali word. Let's talk about Dhanam in Pali. Have you ever heard Dhanam, especially Buddhist economics? You know, a few decades ago, there was a man especially early, probably 70s or 80s, was writing a book called Small is Beautiful, Schumacher. But this person's understanding, small is beautiful, is on the surface level, is what we understand in Buddhism. But it doesn't mean that when someone has, big things in his or her life, let's say, depending on one's progress, wealth progress, success, it doesn't mean that things will be always small, right? So what if that person understands and not having upadana, not having craving for what one uses, what one invests as a business, and what one pursues in his or her life for other things, and going to use as such? There shouldn't be a problem. Otherwise, everybody in this society has to be very small, right? And some critics are actually saying that this understanding that small is beautiful is what had happened to the society nowadays. Right? In today's world, as you know, the young generation, they look at it in a different perspective, right? Sometimes they don't want to have family. They don't have children. They don't want to. And they have arguments about why to bring up a child into this toxic, poisonous world, right? I mean, why these things are coming out? Small is beautiful sometimes. I mean, just be two of us enough for us, right? So, I mean, that's why we have to understand Buddhism does not talk about a very strict minimalism. What Buddhism talks about is it does not lay a certain wealth framework. What it does is that Buddhism believes that earning and being able to earn money is a good karma on the side and also wisdom in this life for that person. So different people earn wealth in different forms, but Buddhism is very concerned about whether the money is coming from ethical sources, right? Ethical sources, and then it does not lay any emphasis about how much money one makes. It is up to that particular person. But ethical money, ethical use, wise use, as we learn in the Pattakama Sutta, right? So Dana, this wealth management has been discussed by the Buddha in many suttas. What are the very famous suttas where Buddha discusses wealth? Can you think of some of them? Because you are
Sigalo,
Sigalo Wada
Sigalo,
Sutta.
Bhante. Sigalo.
Yeah, see, you are very conscious about these suttas. Singalovada Sutta, right? What does Singalovada Sutta say? Singalovada Sutta says that wealth has to be
Yeah.
properly managed.
Yeah.
And also, there are six ways someone can waste money, right? There are 6 channels that someone can, maybe someone will lose money. Not even that. Have you ever heard a stanza where Buddha talks about that there's a certain classification that one can think about in terms of using wealth? Ekena bhoge buncheye dvihi kammang payojaye chatuttancha nidhapeye apada subhavissati. Now this idea, I mean, when I explain to you, might perhaps understand it in the literal sense, but it has to go beyond the literal sense. The Buddha says one can think about in breaking down one's income into 4 portions. This might not be very ideal for every person, because different people are having their income in different forms, right? Some people are going by from paycheck to paycheck, right, in some places. So it might be difficult. But the understanding here is that a rough idea to consider. So the first portion, here I can just draw something over here. The first portion, it's about personal use. Ekena bhoge bunji. Say someone is getting $1,000. This could be $250, right? The idea, I mean, if you look at directly from that quote, personal use, and then the second and third portions, this would be
Investment.
yeah, $500 dollars. It's for the investment perspective. So more towards investment. Dvihi kammam payojaya. Pali word payojaya is, ayojaya means investment, not for my current use at this point. And the last portion, can see portion 1, portion 2, portion 3, and portion 4. It's another 250. This is for Chatuttancha Nidhapeya. This is something for emergency, right? This could be a saving at that time. This could be an investment, wealth management. This could be a burial. Some people buried. In today's story, we understand somebody buried lots of money, buried. And this could be a business investment. This could be hedging. This could be anything, right? So why did the Buddha ask lay people to think about investment more than emergency and then personal use? In this, I think this is in the Singalovada Sutta, if I'm not mistaken. So why did he say like that? There's something to think about. Now, people who are always talking about, Buddha always talks about impermanence, everything is going to change, anicca, sankhara. Then why did the Buddha talk about money, wealth, in the Singalovada Sutta? Because Singalovada Sutta is the disciplinary book for the lay people. So when you study suttas, there are many suttas for the Sangha members initially. And some suttas are for lay people. So if you don't study lay people, your own suttas, you directly jump into the monastic suttas, what would happen to you? You will become a monk in the form of a layperson. Something has happened to some people, you know. They are not even walking, they are not even talking. Because if you want to become a monk, go become a monk. But being a layperson, you can't do that. You will get messed up. So That's why in our sutta studies, we have a couple of sutta studies. Friday, we have a sutta study at for Tiratana Vihar clan. And I have other sutta, the Buddhist Mahavihara, Buddhist Fellowship, and many other sutta discussions. I'm saying the reason why we are picking up these suttas, lay people suttas in the first place, is that lay people should learn Buddhist teachings from the suttas that the Buddha prescribed, recommended for them. But if you study a sutta like Madhupindika Sutta in the first place, it's about proliferation, papancha. You know? Let's say you go to sutta study, this is about papancha. What is papancha? Everything is papancha. You papancha, your family will be papancha, your house will be a papancha at the end. Then what are you going to learn at the end? Right? Everything will become a papancha, proliferation. I think you have to study them at a certain point of your life, not as the first thing. That's why you need to learn these things. So Buddha is talking about a happy lay life, happy and then at the same time ethically develop and lead into a blessed life. So that's why Buddha is talking. Lay people, look at your wealth. Buddhists cannot be poor. You may be born out of poverty due to a bad karma, but if you learn Buddhism, you become a rich person. That's an interesting claim. You may be reborn as a poor person. Because in today's story, you know, Anand, the banker Anand, happened this problem. It happened to him. But you will never die as a poor person because you learn lay person's life according to the Buddha. Sigalava Sutta, Patakama Sutta, and many suttas. And then you get the right instruction for your economic life. At that point, you are not saying, you are such a blessed person. Say, you are born. You were born, you know. Were born with lots of inheritance and all that. There are people as such. But Buddhism always asks us to think about what to do, how to be purposeful, how to be ambitious, right? So Sugandhavada Sutta is one of the very important suttas in that perspective. Okay, why did the Buddha ask lay people to invest more, ethical invest more, and also at the same time keep some wealth for emergency? Buddhism believes asking money from someone is such a very difficult activity. And borrowing money and being able to lend that money to someone, they all are kind of painful situations. Some are being able to pay back, and animosity and misunderstanding, these all are leading to problems. It doesn't mean that someone is starting his or her life with some asking money from somebody. It should be okay. But in the long run, borrowing money and begging for money, these are going to be somewhat painful experiences, right? So Buddhism not only asks someone to do more good karma and then the next life you will become a rich person. Buddhism always say you may be born out of poverty, but when you learn the right teachings, how to create your income, how to spread around your wealth across these areas, you will not be as such. Think about the Jataka story. What is the Jataka story? Chulla Setti Jataka story. Right? Chulla Setti Jataka story is a very interesting one where our Buddha, he was a bodhisattva. The bodhisattva was what he call, I can't remember exactly whether he was the one who was telling the idea or he was the one who was doing that particular. Anyways, bodhisattva was one of the persons, either the person who gave the idea or the person who heard the idea who did it. In the story, what happened? There was a wise man going on a road, and then he saw a dead rat on the street. And then he says to someone over there, if you sell this dead rat, you will become
Rich.
an entrepreneur. You will become a rich person.
Yeah.
So the person who had no idea, what can a dead rat do to me, Okay,
Feed the cat.
wise. This is a wise man anyways. Wise people might give an idea to us. We are not getting the benefit right now, maybe in the long run. Right? I think about how you join OPRC long time ago. You are not reaping the fruits at that time. It takes time to understand what we are talking here, right? Not that you come here and read something and go away. So the person, okay, I think I will do what he says. He brought the dead rat. He went to the bazaar, the market road. Then he saw somebody was saying, I need some food for my cat. He had a very nourished cat. He was looking for food for the cat. Then, okay, I have this. And then he sold the dead rat to that man who was expecting some food for his cat. Then after that, he got some money. Then what he did was that then some wisdom came to him. He was thinking, now what is next? I got some money, but this is not enough for me. Maybe I'm going to buy some grass. Some grass. Maybe there are cows, there are farmers here. I may have an idea with these people, farmers. At the same time, there were a couple of farmers who were looking for some grass. And he thought, okay, I can now sell my grass to these farmers. So in this way, he went from one small business to the second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Finally, with a good capital, he was very established in that same market. He became one of the largest, biggest merchants in that market. And finally, what happened? Everything went successful because he followed. He had a lot of virya and all that. And he did everything ethically. Now, why I share this story with you is that I'm not asking you to go and make more money. What I'm saying to you is that Buddhism always positive about ethical making of money. And at the same time, ethical sharing uh, the things that you earn through money. Buddhism is not against making money. That's important because sometimes when you are reading certain works, reading certain things, they may have a very poisonous anti-idea about money. Say, money is evil. Money is not evil. What is evil is the way how that person uses money. This will become the evil problem, right? So here we go back to the Danang here. Now, as I said earlier, let's go back to the Sigalova, the Suttas classification, division of money. Let's take 1,000, sample of 1,000 income. And then first 250 for personal use, your family. And then 500, maybe two portions for the investment. This investment may not be money-wise all the time, maybe education. Someone uses money for a scholar, maybe study some courses. Maybe someone is doing something like that. Not always what you call monetary investment. Could be something else, right? And the last one, there should be something for images. So this is from Singalavad Sutra. What about the spiritual wealth? Now this is about material wealth. Did the Buddha talk about spiritual wealth? Yes. In the Anguttara Nikaya's 7th section, there is a sutta where Buddha talks about 7 spiritual wealth. What are they? Saddha, Dhanam, Hiridhanam. In this way, there are 7 types of wealth. Saddha is a spiritual wealth. Sometimes there may be someone who knows a lot of Dhamma, but the person doesn't feel that the Dhamma does not get materialized the way how I listen to that Dhamma thing. Why? You need Saddha in order for you to materialize what you know. Saddha means trust. Trust in terms of the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. It is necessary. Because Dhamma is not a gathering of knowledge all the time. You write down and thinking that you will pass the exam. It's a I mean, it's something that will flourish, that will grow when you have a lot of respect for the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. Right? Saddha Dhanam, Sila Dhanam, your, what you call discipline, is a spiritual wealth. Think about, you are such a very disciplined person. You are disciplined in terms of your house, the way you talk, what you talk. You are not lying. You are not dividing people. You are not gossiping. You are not hurting other people. You are managing yourself, that my thoughts are very wholesome all the time. I'm trying my best. You are not engaging in any what you call activities that lead to killing, stealing, and even sexual misconduct. What is this? Discipline. Can everybody be a disciplined person? I don't think so. It needs some effort, but not control. It needs lots of discipline, right? It needs lots of discipline. Think about a Buddhist monk who has been ordained for 40 years, 50 years. What kind of a discipline is that the Buddhist monk carrying? So, for. So that means that discipline is very necessary, right? And it is a wealth too. And hiri, ottappa, two types of spiritual. Hiri means moral
shame.
Moral shame. Moral
Moral
shame.
shame.
Now, there are a lot of akusalas, but with regard to these akusalas, do we have a certain embarrassment? Not that other people will know what I do, but is it not a shame for me if I do as such? And ottappa means moral fear.
Yeah.
Not engaging in akusala is a moral, can happen through moral shame. And what if you have a certain fear in engaging akusala? That is called moral fear. That will also be a certain wealth onto you, right? Spiritual wealth. And what else? Saddha danam, sila danam, hiri ottappiyan danam, sutta danam chacha. A complete knowledge, full knowledge about anything. Full knowledge means lot of our knowledge things are not complete, right? Even when you are supposed to talk about anything with regard to Dhamma, you may need to study more suttas sometimes to have a complete idea, right? So we need at least a complete knowledge with regard to a certain subject, because these Dhamma teachings have been given differently at different places, right? If you want to learn a song, you have to learn the full song, right? Not that you say the first two lines and I know the song, right? You must know the full song, right? So in that way, as we understand, little knowledge is always dangerous. It has to apply to Dhamma as well. What if we know something small about certain things? So this way, there are 7. Perhaps I can send you the sutta later, but I just want to tell you, material wealth and spiritual wealth. Whatever the wealth you may have, you are supposed to give some attention whether you are trying to brag about these two, children and wealth. We are now proceed to the next. Balu vihanyati. This is an interesting point. Vihanyati. Now we understand hanati. Hanati means to kill. Vihanyati. Worrying and trouble. What is our daily trouble? If you look at your daily life, what are we really struggling for the most part? We are not suffering sometimes. We are suffering for the suffering, right? I mean, suffering is always there. I mean, pain, dukkha. So people create another dukkha for the dukkha, double dukkha, right? It's not, the way how someone process the dukkha matters. So that's why unwise person takes everything as a dukkha, willingly or unwillingly, consciously or unconsciously. Now think about having children, having good children, being able to raise these good children, being able to make ethical good money. They are source of true happiness in a way. But the bala, unwise person, makes a mess out of these two. Something he could have led nicely. But even those two things have stopped him in being truly happy. Those two things have held him or her back very tightly in his or her life. What about someone who is always thinking about, who always driven by these wealth activities, and that person cannot even go to sleep without checking how much money I got today, checking the bank accounts, everything. And last thing before the sleep, first thing after the wake up, So the wealth has controlled this person that much, rather than we control. We manage our finance, rather not letting finances control us, manage us. So this is what the Buddha says, right? So Buddha is saying that when you are unwise, how can you become unwise? When the children and money, going to take you over, then you are struggling. When you let them be managed in a holistic, positive way, then you are not taken over by those two. They are under you, right? So otherwise, what will happen? You will be hanyati. You will suffer a lot. You will go through a lot of changes. How many parents are having all these issues in their life? They were able to raise their children very well. They studied very well. They are doing some jobs. Now they are worried about their marriage the whole time. They say they don't want to get married. Now they are thinking the whole, why are you suffering? You are almost like 60 now, 70 almost. Why are you suffering? Well, you know what? They are not getting married. So what's the problem? I mean, they are worrying the whole day. They are worrying. The more that person is worried, so and the poorer their health is going to be, right? That's why you have to have the right attitude with regard to your children, with regard to your wealth. Otherwise, you will have to pay a big cost emotionally, mentally, physically. You don't want to become a bala here, You want to become a pandita. Pandita is someone who understands happiness of having children, happiness of having right ethical wealth under you, not above you, right? And in the real sense, what we know here, as you can see, attahi attano nati kuto putta. This is the pandita knowledge, pandita understanding about children and wealth. Pandita understands that yes, raising, nurturing children, such a blessing, such a happiness, creating ethical money, such a good thing. So we need money, well, but we know one day we have to give up even our life personally. And then what about these children? And all right, I think that's enough for this stanza at this moment. Now we have to go to the story. Ananda Setti. Who is Setti?
Banker.
Yes, I don't know. I mean, you may have heard Chetti, Setti, bankers, Chetti. I think it's an Indian word, Chetti. Also, bankers, these kind of what do you call rich individuals who were doing some trades. So the story is about Anand. I think I share with you the story in short, and then we will go to the notes which I did today. I mean, don't expect these notes every week. I mean, if there's an interesting story, I will make it because those stories sometimes give us some interesting attitudes to think about. Okay, during the Buddha lived in Savatthi, there was a very rich banker who had almost 8 billion gold, who went by the name of called Ananda. When you talk about Ananda, you might perhaps think, is this Venerable Anand? No, there were many Anandas. So this banker Ananda had a son. The son's name was Mulasiri. Mulasiri. Yeah, I'm gonna type it here. Banker Anand and his son called Mulasiri. So Banker Anand always advised his son Mulasiri, son, you know what? You don't need to spend my money. One day it will become your money. 8 billion. Not 80 billion actually. Sorry, 80 billion. 80 billion gold. You don't have to spend, because if you start spending this money, then just like some other things are being used by some other people going to be extinct, this money will be diminished, maybe small. So never ever use this money, 80 billion gold. Just protect them all the time. So he was giving this idea to his son. And then what happened? He wanted to tell his son that there is a certain place in his house that he buried 5 types of gold, but he couldn't communicate with him. He passed away. So he was a very stingy person. We can say miser. He was a miser. He had lots of miserliness. I think I want you to think about a revision lesson we did long time ago. I want to ask you how we understood about greedy person and stingy person or miser. Can you remember? How did we explain the difference between the greedy person who has loba and the stingy person who is supposed to have macharya? Macharya person, loba person. How to differentiate these two people? Few weeks ago, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, we discussed about another miser, another stingy person. His name was Macharya Kosir, the man who wanted to eat some kind of roti with his wife, and finally the Arhan Moggallana intervened. And that story was one story we discussed a few months ago. He was such a very stingy person. But he did not live in Savatthi, he was living somewhere else. But this person, Banker Anand, used to live in Savatthi, and he passed away. Now, let me ask you, what is the difference between a greedy person who has loba versus the one who has macharya, we call stinginess? Do we all have greed time to time? To be honest, yes, we do have. So the difference is that someone may be able to understand one's greed and then to overcome it. That is the victory. But still, greed is such a latent tendency. It is there all the time. It's like a, what do you call, iceberg, right? We might get rid of the tip, but iceberg goes all the way down to the ocean. But many people are struggling with their own greed when it comes to money, when it comes to loved ones, when it comes to their education. Not even that, when it comes to their political views, social views, global views, many things. They have greed for many, many things. They may even have greed for the next life. We call bhavatanha. They may have greed for even many other things. You name it in your own way. So the thing is, greed is such a natural disposition that we may all have, but the difference between two people with regard to greed is that someone is trying to overcome it as much as possible. Other one is just letting it happen due to not understanding Dhamma, or even by understanding Dhamma, doesn't understand how to make it practical. Greed, lobha. What about then Macharya? Is it normal that we have Macharya? Oh, is it such a very strange kind of state with regard to this particular topic? Macharya. Macharya means, now when we are greedy, what is happening is that we don't like to share. We don't like to give and share. Because There are things we can give, there are things we cannot give, we will share. In Pali, we have 2 Pali words for this, right? What are those Pali words? I think you'll be giving dana to many viharas, perhaps. You should know. What are those 2 Pali words the Buddha asks you to think about? Pattakama Sutta and many other suttas.
Is it
Dana.
Abhijja? Sorry.
Huh?
Abhijja and Isama Loba? No, it's not that.
No. This is about the real activity of giving. We call it
Naga. Dakina.
Now, Dakina is the Sangika dana. I'm asking you, the overall name for the Sangika dana is Dakina. I'm asking, when you are supposed to engage in generosity, there are 2 ways to engage in your generosity. I think we discussed that in many suttas. Dana is one.
Chaga.
Second is
Chaga.
Samvibhaga.
Chaga.
No, Dana Samvibhaga. Dana is one, just giving. Samvibhaga means sometimes we cannot give because we also have only one.
Share. We share
How
like
to
the
give?
computer.
We can only
We
share.
share. Yeah, we
Dana.
share.
So generosity has 2 ways to do. Sometimes we can give. Sometimes we cannot give. We can only share. So we call it Samvibhaga. Maybe I'm going to type it here again. Dana. The Pali word go like this. Dana Samvibhaga. So Dana is give. Samvibhaga is sharing. Okay, so these are the 2 things that you are engaging with regard to your generosity. Sangika dana, dakina, or any other activity. Now, the problem here is that this Macharya person, stingy person, does not like to give and share. Why? There is an additional akusala that has taken him over, going beyond the greed, normal greed. What is it? Macharya. Macharya means I don't like to give this thing to that person. I'm not happy in giving that. Maybe I don't like having him or her enjoy my stuff. Think about Buddha is talking the Pattakama Sutta, inheritance, right? He's talking about you must write a will before you pass away, because some people don't like their inheritance to be used by the people whom they don't like. Yeah. You are in the deathbed, you are in a hospital bed, you see some people are using your money. Who does it? Write a will with terms and conditions. Then you are at least making that plan properly, right? So in this way, there are people who are not giving and sharing Dana Samvibhaga because they don't like other people enjoy what they give and share. This is a very strange kind of feeling. It's not a normal loba. So that's why the Buddha said, this comes to dosa, this not giving perspective. Now, loba is just loba. Someone might not be giving without any problem. Because I want to have this money, I want to have this food. I have no problem. Other than that, if I have more, I'm going to give it to you. Otherwise, I'm not, I like to keep it with me at this point. But Macharya person doesn't like to give and share because I hate other people use my stuff, my things, my food, right? So this kind of state of mind with regard to not giving and sharing is preceded by dosa. So Macharya is preceded by or coined with dosa, hatred. Loba is only loba. Now understand, Bank Anand had Macharya problem, right? He had this Macharya issue. Different people carry different problems. We don't have to blame anybody. Maybe from the sansara, from their environment, their genetics, their family. It can happen. So what happened? Macharya Anand passed away. He suddenly passed away. He couldn't even tell his son those 5 places. So those 5 things that he buried. At that time, there were no banks, right? Banks were not in use at that time, And people didn't even go to the banks at that time, perhaps. Why do we bring our stuff into the banks, Why do we want to trust these bank people? We just dig our own house, put all that under our place. So we don't trust banks. This was the idea. And later on, maybe due to other reasons, it happened. So he passed away. And after he passed away, he was reborn in a family, perhaps little near to Savatthi. This whole village is a village of beggars. Beggars. You could say scavenger beggars. Sometimes they were janitors. They were like cleaning the gutters and those places. They were pretty much beggars. So what happened? Ever since there was a young lady who was conceived with, presumably, that was Ananda. He was conceived into this young lady. All the beggars didn't get enough stuff from the people when they were panhandling. The people were trying to reduce giving money to them. So at that time, there was an idea among people. If you are a group and if you suddenly uh, are not getting things from the other people in the way that we used to, then the reason could have been that there is a certain person who is unlucky, who is a wicked, unlucky person, now has come to our family, our group, our village. We got to find him out. We got to find her out and kick him out or kick her out. This was the understanding of uh, those people at that time. So they were grouping people now, finally, in their own way, and they found out this young lady who was conceived. They were suspecting perhaps this young lady's this conception, that the future baby is the one who is making us very unlucky. Now we are even not making any money. People don't give us money when we were panhandling. And then they approached her and then said to her, because of your upcoming baby, uh, I think things have been very unlucky on us. I think you're going to do something. And she said, I can't do anything. I love my baby. And then what happened? She delivered the baby. The baby was a very deformed baby. The what do you call the certain body features were not located in the right place. The nose was located near the ears. Eyes were located somewhere else. It was a very deformed person. So people were finding out like a haunted spirit uh, in this particular house. But anyways, the mother, out of lots of love, took care of this baby. And then what happened? Uh, the mother was waiting until the son is getting a little bit of on his own, kind of independent. And on a certain day, mother told son, now I know you can do things by yourself. Uh, we are struggling a lot, our whole village. So I give you a pen. You go by yourself and you beg for your own stuff. So you gotta go now. So then the son had no choice. And then he started panhandling. And even the people on the street were very terrified looking at him, his bodily features. What happened was that he somehow came into Savatthi on his begging. And then this is very interesting. When you have lived in Sansara in the same city, you recognize the buildings. Right? This is very interesting. So he kind of remembered certain location areas at that point. He came to his own house. Now, this is what you call Ananda, the bank Ananda. He kind of recognized, was very familiar with the big house he stayed. There are 4 entrances, 4 gates. He went to all the gates, and then those, what do you call, security people kick him out. They even, assaulted him. Then he went to the 4th gate. He recognized his son in the past life. So he came out with a lot of emotions. He was very sad in seeing his own son. but he cannot explain his emotions. He cannot relate. Nobody will believe him. And then he started crying by looking at his son. And then at that time, the Buddha was on his arms round Pindachara, and he saw. And he told Venerable Ananda, look at this young man, the beggar. This is Mulasiri's father. And then he called upon Mulasiri and told Mulasiri, this young man is not another beggar. This is your father. He didn't believe. Like what happened to Todeya, right? In the Chulakamma Vibhanga Sutta, right? We know, right? Chulakamma Vibhanga Sutta, we understand Todeya, Subba was very unhappy for Buddha calling his dog to be his father, right? But here, Buddha instructed Mulasiri and told Mulasiri, look, this young beggar, your father, will show you the places where he buried all the money. And then he went to certain places in the house so he could sansarically relate himself to this house. It happens sometimes when you've been into certain places in your sansara. When you go there again, you will feel it. You might call it deja vu, but you will feel it in your own way, right? This is a familiar place for me, right? This is something what happened to Ananda. And then what happened during this time, the Buddha gave this talk, especially this verse, Puttamatti, Dhanamatti. This man, your father, when he was alive, he was always talking about, I have a son, I have a very good son, I have lots of money. Why should I be scared of anything? But what happened? Halfway of talking, bragging, showing off, all this stuff had to pass. He didn't even understand that he himself did not belong to himself. So now look what has happened to him. So this is what we understand through this story. And a lot of things to discuss with regard to the story. And I perhaps wanted to show a couple of the points that we need to discuss with regard to this story today, particularly today. Okay. Ownership. Now, this is also an interesting point to discuss. Now, some time ago, actually a long time ago, I saw a book, especially a Buddhist book, where the book cover says that if you don't own anything, you can get out of suffering. Right? This is what I saw. It could be like the second page of the book. But then I was thinking, then if so, how do we relate Anana Sutta, Anguttara Nikaya's fourth section, Anana Sutta? Because Anana Sutta says the first happiness for a layperson is happiness of ownership. Then are we really reflective about the Buddha's teaching? So are we just giving our own opinion to what the Buddha thinks about? That's why it's a very it's a careful thing that we have to do. The Buddha never said ownership is a problem, but the problem is this unwise ownership. Unwise ownership. Why? In the Anana Sutta, Buddha says Atti Sukha, Anana Sukha, Bhoga Sukha, Anavajja Sukha. Ownership is a happiness, but that ownership has to be wise ownership. I have all these comforts, I'm happy for that, but not that I'm going to cling to, I create a craving, tanha, for what I own. So now here, going back to this Puttamatti Dhanamatti idea, let's take a look here. Unwise ownership is an illusion. How can you own what is not even yours? Anandas, the banker Anandas, desperate attachment to his gold and family reflects the tragic irony of clinging to what one ultimately cannot keep. When even the self atta is not truly one's own. Yes, atta is us to a certain extent. We have to take care of us, take care of that. But at a certain point, onwards, it will not become ours as well, subject as is to anicca and mara. Hoarded wealth becomes a curse, not a legacy. This is interesting. Hoarding. What about hoarding? Are there people who are hoarding their stuff in their houses? They cannot even let go their old stuff. When you go to some houses, they are not even opening their rooms. Huh? Old stuff, Yeah, but I cannot let them go, And then these rooms, they are always closed, and you are inviting haunted people, because we normally understand if you don't open a certain room in a house, that invites certain beings. If you don't go there, somebody has to go there, physically or mentally or emotionally, right? The problem is the person who had some sentimental memories could not give up certain attachments to them. If it is so sentimental, you can keep it. But sometimes some people are professional hoarders. They are keeping everything in the house, every single thing. Maybe that could be a problem to us. So let's keep what is very necessary, and let's just send the rest of the things, not becoming hoarders, because hoarding is what creates us to the stinginess. Ananda's hidden goal, which he refused to share, ends up benefiting to no one. Not even his own descendants, his son Mulasiri. Instead of becoming a source of merit, it becomes a buried symbol of greed and spiritual blindness. Wealth not shared becomes dead weight, both literary and karmic. Karma twists the sansaric life into a grotesque, very unpleasant form. Reborn in a disfigured body, that young beggar, Ananda's external appearance mirrors his internal defilements. Avarice, another name for stinginess, fear, and delusion. His karmic rebirth dramatizes how unethical mental states can deform not just our minds, but our future embodiments. What if your next body mirrored your current mind? Very interesting. Now, what if our future body, as long as we are not getting to Sotapatti, going to be what I think at this moment? That's going to be very scary. That's why we have to be able to maintain a certain holistic stances of kusala states as much as we can, right? Not like Banta Ana. Your actions outlive your flesh. Karma is your real inheritance. Ananda's wealth evaporated, but his greed, Lobha, followed him into his next life. In contrast, his disowned son inherits a spiritual path instead of riches, thanks to Buddha's interventions. The Buddha sees what we refuse to recognize. Only the Buddha could see beyond the beggar's deformed appearance and recognize the karmic trait connecting lifetimes. His vision challenges us to look beyond surface appearances and to discern deeper moral truths. This is interesting. You die before you die, you die if you live in delusion. Ananda died clinging to wealth he could never use again. His second life was haunted by the very poverty he feared. The first death was physical, the second death was moral and existential. Lobha kills you twice. First spiritually, then karmically. So even we are not going to happily die one day, because Lobha will kill us twice. Now physically, then karmically, right? So that's why we have to take some caution with regard to our understanding about perceptions. Finally, children. Even your children may not recognize you in samsara sometimes. Ananda's rebirth was a repulsive beggar. As a repulsive beggar, beaten by his own grandchildren, reveals his absurdity of attachment to familial identity. In the cycles of rebirth, samsara, the very people we cling to may become strangers who reject us. So what does it mean? I want you to understand this in a very healthy way. I mean, you raise your children if you are happy, you nurture them, you give the right knowledge for them to become good people, law-abiding, disciplined, kind, compassionate beings into this world, At the same time, you are trying to minimize your unnecessary greedy attachments towards them. You are not going to manipulate them at a certain point onwards, right? And this is what we understand through Bhante Ananda's story. All right. Any questions with regard to today's stanza and story? Now you can ask. Before that, until you come up with a question, let me see any questions over here. Right. Right. No more questions. Any questions from your side, please?
Bhante?
Yes, Sumit. Please.
Yeah, I have two questions. One question is, that means we have to understand that when we die, we cannot take anything with us. It's the karma that we inherit. Another thing is, just now what I wanted to say. Oh, I forgot the other question, but the first question is about.
Okay. I will answer the first question.
Yeah, the
Okay.
second one I forgot. Sorry, after I try.
Okay. What is going after we die? We know everything is subject to anicca, right? I think through reading a lot of text over here, everyone is getting blessed in their own way. So having children, having loved ones is a blessing because they can be your kalyana mitras in turn, right? So you have to understand how to get along with these people, especially emotionally. Physically, things should be very okay, but emotionally, what kind of mental, perspective are we supposed to create? Because if you have been really taking care of your family, doing your responsibilities, and perhaps through their support, you may have grown in your Dhamma practice. So all these are blessings. But for some people, they might be taking them as a source of worrying for things that they were not able to achieve in their life. Maybe overly excessive greedy attachment to them. So these are the problem. Otherwise, there are a lot of good things that you might be benefited from those loved ones. And what is going after should be definitely our consciousness. This is what we understand. Ayu usmacha vinyana yada kaya jahanti. That is what happened. That means consciousness, changing consciousness is going to the next life. So good karma. But the thing is, we never know how the good karma will be materialized into making my next life. It is up to the karmic maturity. It's not a linear process. Now, in the story of Ananda's story, he immediately was affected with his stinginess. But there are some people, their next life will be created depending on not the last life, maybe 2-3 life before the last life. So that's why it's a very complicated process in a way. But what we need to understand is that your mental states definitely affect. So changing karmas through your consciousness will create things after that, subject to the anicca dukkha. So what you can do is always try to create positive, wholesome karma, holistic states, kusala states. Right? Any other questions for today?
Bhante,
Yes.
Bhante, can you hear me? I asked, can you please list the 7 types of spiritual wealth that you mentioned just now?
7 types of spiritual wealth is given in a sutta. I cannot exactly remember the name of the sutta. Yeah, so I will look it up and post it in the group. Is that okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
But it should be in the 7th section of Anguttara Nikaya. Definitely.
Bhante,
Yes,
Bala is unwise. Then wise is what?
Pandita.
Pandita.
We are looking at Pandita after understanding Bala. So that's what we are doing now.
Thank you.
Because this chapter is about the unwise people. Then after
Okay.
we finish this, we are looking at wise people.
Pandita.
Like
Okay,
what the
thank you.
Buddha said in the Mangala Sutta. Asevanacha Balana first. Then Panditananta Sevana second.
Okay,
So
thank
first
you.
we get to know the unwise people, which is what
Thank
is
you.
happening to us, definitely. You know, we first know the unwise people, then we stay away from them.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bhante, can we have your notes that you analyzed the story just now? I like the notes. Very in-depth.
Okay, I think I posted in the group.
Already
Were you
posted,
able
huh?
to see a very old man with a big
Oh,
truck?
that is the
Yeah.
one. Thank
Yes,
you.
that's the one. Yes.
Okay, Sadhu, thank you.
All right.
But
we can
Bhante,
take
I think Bhante put the verse. Bhante puts verse 61.
62. Yeah, I
62.
think there's a
Yeah,
typo.
typo.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have to change that. Yeah.
Okay,
Bhante,
thank you.
you mentioned it regarding the 4 types of ownership. What is the name just now? You say the Pali name? The super
Four types of
ownership.
4 types of happiness. Wherein which the first one is happiness of ownership. Anana Sutta.
Ananda.
Anana Sutta. I think I can find it out now.
Oh God.
And I can send it to you. Yeah.
Anana Sutta.
I'm going to guys 4.6.
Debtless.
Yeah, this is the sutta for that. AN 4.62.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. Right. Any more questions with regard to today's Dhammapada stanza 62 and the story?
Bhante,
You found out the second question?
not really, but I want to check up with Bhante. Macharya, is it equivalent to sadist?
Sadist, a kind of a version, a development within that.
Okay,
Within
thank you.
that, yeah, sadist.
Bhante, what you mean just now when Bhante said, little knowledge is dangerous.
Oh, that's a idiomatic expression in English. I mean, what I was trying to say is that we have a very little knowledge with regard to a lot of things in our life.
From Tipitaka.
Right? So what I was trying to say is that we might not be able to come to a full knowledge about certain topics, but at least we try to read a little bit more about certain aspects. Like let's say lay life. I think not many lay people start reading the teachings of the Buddha with regard to lay people a little bit more than how they used to learning from sutta. So I encourage learn a little bit more about suttas that were given to the lay people. That will give you I would say, a good understanding. That knowledge will be a little bit adequate knowledge to understand certain Dhamma concepts rather than starting every. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante, thank you.
All right. I think with that, we are going to transfer the good karmas to the departed ones. So may all the good karmas we've been making today by learning about Dhammapada's verse number 62 be transferred to all the departed relatives who passed away in the name of all of us. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu. Sadhu, sadhu. Idammi nyatinang hotu, sukita huntu nyatayo. Idammi nyatinang hotu, sukita huntu nyatayo. Idammi nyatinang hotu, sukita huntu nyatayo. May Deva, Naga, Mahindika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. May they protect and bless all of us for good health, quality of life, prosperity, safety. And may they also finally attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Ettavata cha amhihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampattiya. Ettavata cha amhihi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampattiya. Ettavata cha ammihi sampatang punya sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Protection. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha cha bhummattha devanaga mahittika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mang parang chirang rakkhantu tvang sadati. We are now moving on to making our Dhamma wish. Our Dhamma wish, as we always mention, is to stay with Kalyana Mittas. May all the Kalyana Mittas be in our life. At the same time, may we become Kalyana Mittas to as many individuals as we can in our sansaric life. Thinking thus, we're going to make the noble wish. Imina punya kamena mami bala samagamu satang samagamu hotu yavanimbana patna. Finally, may all the good karmas we've been making today by understanding the importance of checking whether we have Macharya, Lobha, and through the story of Banka Ananda. May all these teachings that we learned today be supportive and helpful for all of us to attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Abhivadana silissa nichang vadhapacha ino chataru dhamma vadhanti ayuvanu sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti me vicha ato nibbana sampatti iminati samechatu. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With those blessings, wishing you a pleasant night. And look forward to seeing you next Thursday at the same time.
Thank
Have
you,
a good night,
Thank you very
everyone.
much,
Thank you,
Bhante.
Bhante.
Sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
Sadhu,
Bhante.
sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Sadhu,
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
Bhante.
Thank you.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you, Sadhu Bhante.
Bhante. Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sadhu.